There's one thing you can say for sure about the Chicago Bears right now. This team still has a ton of question marks, and the running back situation might be near the top of that list. As the NFL trade deadline creeps closer, fans are already wondering, is it time to shake things up and bring in a fresh face to the backfield? If you've been watching the games, it's hard to ignore the lack of production from the ground game. Through the first 3 weeks, the Bears are averaging just 3.4 yards per carry. Let that sink in for a second. Eric Bieniemy once said that the benchmark for a quality rushing attack is at least 4.5 yards per carry. The Bears are more than a full yard below that. That's not just a gap, that's a warning sign. And it's not just about individual running backs. Yes, DeAndre Swift has left some plays on the field, but let's be real, the offensive line hasn't been helping much either. The blocking has been all over the place, and when that happens, it's tough for any back to get into a rhythm. But if the front office really believes this team can compete, even just for a wild card spot, they've got to take a hard look at adding another weapon. There are a few names out there that might make sense, especially when you consider teams that are already trending toward being sellers this season. Let's start with the obvious. Good teams don't usually trade away good players, unless the wheels are completely coming off. So when you're thinking about guys like Jonathan Taylor, yeah, he was a hot trade candidate before the season, but with the Colts playing solid football and looking like a playoff contender, don't expect him to be moved anytime soon. Now, if you're thinking realistically, you have to look at backs on teams that are either struggling or already building for the future. For example, someone like Breece Hall had a solid week 1 with the Jets, but since then, it's been quiet. If the Jets keep sliding, and remember, they've got a tough matchup with the Dolphins in week 4, that price tag could drop. Same deal with someone like Devon Achane in Miami. If things go south for the Dolphins and they decide to pivot toward a rebuild, he might be a name worth watching. Alvin Kamara is another interesting case. He's expressed interest in retiring as a Saint, but let's be honest, winning has a way of changing minds. If New Orleans starts slipping and someone makes the right offer, who knows what happens? Then there are guys like Ramondre Stevenson. He's a bruiser with a physical running style that could fit well in Chicago, but he's had fumbling issues. 2 fumbles in 1 game is never a good look, no matter how powerful you run. Still, for a team desperate to ignite their run game, you might be willing to live with a little risk. Or take someone like Tyler Allgeier. He's a solid between the tackles guy, but the Falcons have clearly invested in Bijan Robinson long-term. If Atlanta fades out of contention, maybe they shop Allgeier to make room for other pieces. Then there's Sean Tucker in Tampa Bay, more of a depth option, but with the Bucs leaning on Bucky Irving and Rackett White, he's kind of the odd man out. Bottom line, there are options. They're not all home runs, but if the Bears want to keep pace and not waste another year of development for their young core, they might need to consider making a move. Especially because, on paper, this current running back room just isn't getting it done. Khalil Herbert hasn't taken that leap. DeAndre Swift, like I mentioned, has been hit or miss. Roscoe Johnson, barely seeing the field outside of special teams. Kyle Manengai is someone fans are curious about, but he's still a mystery box right now. And with the team sitting at 1-2, there's not a ton of time to wait and see. You drop to 1-3, and suddenly the season starts slipping. But if you beat the Raiders and head into the bye week at 2-2, now you're back in the mix. Now you can breathe. You can regroup, maybe install a few more wrinkles into the offense, and start thinking bigger picture. That win over Dallas might not be season-defining just yet, but it very well could end up being the turning point if the Bears find a way to build on it. And let's be honest, that one felt different. It wasn't just the scoreboard. It was the energy. It was the defense finally waking up after giving up 50 the week before. Jaquan Brisker said it himself. You can't talk all offseason about wanting to be one of the top defenses in the league, then come out and give up half 100. So he and Grady Jarrett pulled the defense together for a players' only meeting before the Dallas game. Normally, those types of meetings are panic moves. Big red flags. But this time it worked. The defense responded. They held Dallas to just 14 points, and that tells you there's still pride in that locker room. There's still fight. As for the offense, it's still a work in progress, but there were flashes. And when you're evaluating if this win was a fluke or a foundation, you're looking for more than just points. You want to see if the process looks better. Is the play calling flowing? Is Caleb Williams, Assuming he's the starter by now, finding a rhythm? Are the Bears converting third downs? Are they sustaining drives? That's what separates the contenders from the pretenders. You don't just want highlight plays, you want consistency. And if the Bears can go on the road and put up 24 or more points against the Raiders, that's a solid sign that this offense is taking steps. Speaking of the Raiders game, the secondary remains a concern. Kyler Gordon hasn't practiced, still nursing a hamstring injury. The latest intel, at least as of Monday, suggests he might not be back until after the bye week. And that's a blow, no doubt, especially when you look at how thin the cornerback room already is. But if the defense can hold it together one more week and sneak out a win, reinforcements are likely coming. Not just Kyler, but also linebacker TJ Edwards, who's been dealing with his own issues. On the pass rush side of things, a lot of fans are asking about Montez Sweat. Could he actually be moved at the deadline? Honestly, it feels unlikely. Unless the Bears go on a complete losing streak and find themselves totally out of the race, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Sure, Sweat hasn't quite lived up to the contract just yet, but he did show signs of life against Dallas. And the pass rush as a whole isn't exactly deep right now. If you move Sweat, you're creating a massive hole on the edge that you probably can't fill midseason. So unless things get really ugly, expect him to stay put. And then you've got fans wondering why this front office hasn't taken a harder look at some of the veterans still floating around. Guys like Jadeveon Clowney or Zadarius Smith. And yeah, it's fair to ask. Clowney's name was reportedly brought up in meetings, but nothing serious ever developed. As for Smith, the rumors around his locker room presence have been swirling for a while. Maybe that scared the Bears off, especially with Ben Johnson having had direct experience with him last season. But the talent? Still very real. Just look at his early performances this season. 1 sack, multiple tackles for loss, and a strong showing in limited snaps. So here we are, trade rumors swirling, injuries piling up, the fan base restless. But there's still a path forward. If the Bears can grind out one more win before the bye, get healthy, and maybe, just maybe, pull off a smart trade for running back, then yet this season might still have some juice left in it. Now let's pivot back to the running back conversation, because if the Bears truly want to elevate this offense and take pressure off their young quarterback, they have to find a way to fix the ground game. Right now, it just isn't good enough. 3.4 yards per carry is not going to cut it in today's NFL, especially when you consider the amount of teams leaning into balanced, physical offenses. And the Bears don't have the kind of elite aerial attack that allows them to ignore the run. They need it, badly. And that's where the trade market could come into play. Imagine pairing Caleb Williams or even a surging Justin Fields, depending on how things evolve, with a legitimate, dynamic runner. That changes everything. Defenses would have to account for the threat of play action. The offensive line would benefit from more manageable downs. You'd start to see less pressure, fewer third and longs, and potentially fewer turnovers. Everything becomes more manageable. And if you're not getting that from your current group, if guys like Swift, Herbert, or Roscon aren't taking control of the job, then the front office has to act. Now, let's talk about what it would actually cost to bring in someone worthwhile. You're probably not giving up a first-rounder, unless we're talking about a proven star still in his prime. That's not what's on the table right now, but a day 2 or day 3 pick. That could get it done, especially if you're targeting a player who's either being underused or stuck on a team heading nowhere. The Bucs with Sean Tucker, the Jets with Breece Hall, even the Patriots with Stevenson. Those are all franchises that might be willing to listen. The Bears have some draft capital to play with, and if Ryan Poles believes this team is close, then giving up a 4th or 5th rounder for an immediate contributor could be worth it. Of course, there's also the salary cap to consider. You've got to be smart. You're not going to bring in someone who wrecks your financial flexibility moving forward. But for the right player on a manageable deal, that's a no-brainer, especially when you look at how wide open the NFC still is. Outside of a couple elite squads, no one's really running away with it. A couple of smart mid-season moves, and the Bears could absolutely put themselves back in a mix. And this is where leadership in the building becomes crucial. Because when you've got a young quarterback trying to find his footing, you've got to surround him with stability. You don't want to overload him, and you definitely don't want him feeling like he has to win games by himself. That's where a strong run game can be a quarterback's best friend. It gives him structure. It opens up the playbook. It allows the coaching staff to ease into new looks without forcing the kid to do everything. You also need to think about the locker room. Players can feel it when a team makes a move to get better. It sends a message. It shows that the front office believes in the group, that they're not content with mediocrity. You trade for a hard-nosed back who brings energy and toughness, and suddenly, that mindset trickles down. Practices get sharper. The vibe in the building changes. Guys start to believe they're building towards something. But all of that hinges on the Bears getting through this next stretch without collapsing. This Raiders game is massive. It's not a must-win mathematically, but emotionally, it's as close as it gets. Win this one, and you hit the bye week at 2-2, and that record might not sound like much, but after starting 0-2 and all the criticism that came with it, being back at .500 would feel like a fresh start. It would give the coaching staff a chance to regroup, assess what's working, and start to push the reset button before the grind of the middle part of the season. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could easily be described as one of the most shocking sideline moments this season, Chicago Bears head coach Matt Eberflus appeared to lose his composure during a live broadcast yesterday, sparking an immediate firestorm among fans and insiders alike. Sources close to the team claim that, in the heat of the moment, Eberflus didn't just vent frustration. He allegedly hinted that he is actively seeking the departure of one of the Bears' players. The details are still murky, but the clip has gone viral, with thousands dissecting his every word, gesture, and tone. Eyewitnesses at the press area reported that Eberflus, typically measured and calm under pressure, seemed uncharacteristically agitated, pacing back and forth before finally dropping the bombshell. While I didn't mention any names outright, insiders say the context and phrasing leave little doubt that the coach's message was pointed. Change is needed on the roster, and someone could be on the way out. Naturally, this has sent speculation into overdrive, with analysts debating which player could be on the chopping block. Some point to performance struggles earlier in the season, while others suggest there might be tension behind the scenes that the public has yet to see. Social media exploded almost instantly, with fans and pundits replaying the clip on loop, debating whether this was a moment of pure frustration or a deliberate signal from the coaching staff. "It's unprecedented," said one former NFL assistant, who spoke anonymously. You rarely see a coach reveal internal roster frustrations like that on live television. This could either be a turning point or a PR nightmare. Meanwhile, mock drafts and trade rumor boards have lit up with potential landing spots for the unnamed player being speculated from coast to coast. Eberflus has yet to issue a formal clarification, and the Bears organization remains tight-lipped, fueling the fire further. For now, the NFL world is left to wonder. Was this a slip of the tongue, a strategic hint to shake things up, or a harbinger of major changes for the Chicago Bears? One thing is certain. This is a story that won't die down anytime soon, and fans across the league are watching closely for every new development. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.